Hey guys, today we sail out under a sky that's way too calm for comfort. The kind of calm that makes old fishermen spit over their shoulders and mumble something about trouble brewing. You're standing barefoot on a wooden dock that creaks like it's got secrets. It's nearly midnight in a tiny coastal village, the kind where the streetlights flicker out after dinner, and the ocean breathes louder than the town itself. The wind, almost too gentle, like it's holding something back. Your hands are raw from mending nets all day, and your back hums with that familiar dull ache, the kind you stopped complaining about years ago because, let's be real, who would listen? Inside the little shack that passes for your home, your wife is asleep on the floor mattress with your youngest curled against her chest. Dinner was half a bowl of boiled plantains in silence. You need this night to go right. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Always fun to see how far this little fishing boat of a channel floats. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You grab your gear and glance up. No stars tonight, just an oppressive ceiling of gray. Still, you untie your boat from the dock with that stubborn shrug fishermen are born with. Just a few hours, you mutter. Enough for 2 nets. The motor coughs awake like it's offended, but it gets the job done. Out at sea, the moon sulks behind clouds and your little boat rocks like a cradle. Water slaps the sides in a rhythm you've known since childhood. You remember your father's hands on the tiller, how he whistled to the fish. Keeps him curious, he claimed. That old superstition makes you smile now, and without thinking, you whistle too, just in case. But the further you go, the more the sea starts to shift. You notice it in the way the waves grow less playful. You feel it in the air, heavier, wetter, like the sky is sweating. That's when you should turn back. But you don't, because this night has to work. Because your daughter asked this morning if she could go back to school, and you didn't have the heart to tell her there's no money left for fees. You cast your net and wait. The second stretch, your breath itching with every tug that isn't. 10 minutes. 15. Then a pull. You haul up a writhing mess of silver and scales. Not enough to dance over, but it's a start. You reset. Again and again. An hour passes and so does your caution. Then the first wind hits. Not a breeze, a slap. The boat shudders. The sea has flipped moods like someone hit a switch. You squint toward shore, but it's gone. Just endless dark. You've seen storms before, but not like this. This one rises like a curtain pulled back. Lightning splits the sky, quick and angry. You hear the thunder 3 seconds later. Textbook. Thanks, 8th grade science. But it doesn't help, because now the waves are slamming the boat like it owes them money. You try to steer back. The tiller fights you. Rain comes in sideways, slicing your cheeks. You shout, but who hears that kind of noise? No gods out here tonight. The engine dies. Classic. Your boat spins like a top and you grab the net to stay upright. Something snaps. Maybe your pride, maybe the mast. Hard to tell in chaos. This is where panic usually lives. But for some reason, you go quiet inside. You think about your daughter's drawing stuck on the fridge. 2 stick figures holding hands. One wears a fishing hat. You don't pray. Not exactly. But you whisper something. Not for help, for forgiveness. You remember your brother. The last time you spoke, it ended in shouting. Something about money. Pride. Always pride. You haven't visited his grave. Haven't said his name aloud since the accident. But now, you say it. Once. Quietly. Just to see if it still feels like his. It does. A wave slams you sideways and you hit the deck. Blood or rain runs into your eyes. Both. You curl up like a child. Just for a moment. Then a flash of something in the distance. A light? Could be your brain throwing a farewell party. Could be hope. You try to sit up. Another flash. Definitely a lantern. Swinging. Moving. Someone's out there. You laugh, actually laugh, because the idea that someone would be out here tonight? Absurd. It's like seeing your ex at a bookstore and realizing they still read poetry, but the light gets closer, and that's when you see the outline of a boat, a bigger one. And the person holding that lantern? You recognize the stance before the face. Impossible. He's been gone 10 years, but there he is, your brother, or someone who looks just like him. Your voice cracks, the light wavers, the sea growls. That's when the boat turns slowly towards you, lantern swinging like a beckoning finger, and then you lurch to your feet, stumbling like a drunk newborn calf on a trampoline, and clutch the edge of your boat as the storm smashes down again. But your eyes stay locked on that light. It moves with an eerie calm, as if the sea has cut a path just for it, like Moses parting waves for the stubborn and sleep deprived. Closer now. Not a hallucination. The light's real. The boat's real. And the man steering it? Well, that's where things get weird. Because he looks exactly like your brother. Not the way he looked right before the accident, when life had aged him into someone with too many unpaid debts and not enough dreams. No, this version is younger, healthier, almost glowing. And that smug little smirk? Yup, dead giveaway. Need a hand, he calls out, and the voice is spot on. You freeze. Brain goes, okay, ghost theory is now officially on the table. But survival instinct yells louder, shut up and grab the rope. You do. He hauls you in like it's a casual Tuesday and not the most dramatic seafaring rescue in recent coastal memory. You land hard on the deck, gasping. The storm hasn't touched this boat. It's dry, calm, like a bubble of safety in the middle of a tantrum ocean. He hands you a towel in a storm. You always were dramatic, he chuckles. You blink, say his name. He raises an eyebrow. Took you long enough. Now let's pause here to acknowledge the absurdity. If this were a social media story, the comments would be like, fake, no way. Bro died in 2015, dude's dreaming. And you know what? Fair. But you're not dreaming. You feel the splinters in your palm, the salt burn on your lip. This is happening. Authors still debate whether near-death experiences trigger some quantum weirdness, or just the best light show your brain can throw together while it reboots. But right now, you're buying the ticket and taking the ride. You sit there, soaked, silent, stunned. He starts the engine. It hums smooth, steady, unlike yours, which sounded like a blender eating gravel. You always push too far, he says, not accusing you, just tired. Thought you'd have learned after, you know. After you drown, you shoot back. He doesn't flinch, just watches the horizon. Storm didn't kill me, pride did. That hits hard. He doesn't explain, doesn't need to. You both know the story. The debt he wouldn't ask help with. The boat he fixed up with borrowed parts. The night he went out to prove he didn't need anything. He never came back. You want to say sorry. Want to ask where he's been. But instead, you just sit beside him as he steers through the storm like it's a memory, not a monster. Lightning cracks again. For a split second, you swear the water parts around the boat, showing shadows below. Huge ones like old gods sleeping in the deep. But they vanish as fast as they came. So why now? You finally ask. Why rescue me? He shrugs. You were ready to listen. And just like that, you realize this isn't about saving your life. It's about saving something smaller, quieter. The part of you that gave up asking for help. The part that buried too much under I'm fine. He cuts the engine near a rocky outcrop somewhere you didn't know existed. A tiny bay, hidden behind jagged stones. The sea calms instantly. He points. You'll wait here. Someone's coming. You start to protest. He grips your shoulder. Trust me, you're not done yet. Then, as if on cue, another boat glides in. Real this time. A Coast Guard patrol, red lights slicing the fog. Two people yell your name. You turn back to your brother. Gone. No ripple, no weight, just fog. The Coast Guard pulls you aboard. They say they got a tip, an anonymous radio call. They found your wrecked boat floating half a mile off. No engine, no net, just a single dry towel tied to the tiller. You don't explain. Can't. They call it a miracle. You call it overdue. Days later, back in your village, you sit with your daughter on the porch. She's drawing again. This time, 3 stick figures. One wears a fishing hat. The second has a towel around his shoulders. The third, a tiny lantern in his hand. You don't ask how she knew. Kids always know more than they say. Your story goes viral after you quietly share it with a sleepy Facebook fishing group. Within a week, it's everywhere. TikTok reenactments, meme captions like, bro came back from the dead just to flex his rescue skills. Even your wife knows. Told you your brother was too stubborn to stay gone. But deep down, you know it wasn't just about stubbornness. It was love, forgiveness, timing, and maybe unfinished business. You fix your boat, but now you fish by day, not night. You walk slowly, laugh easily, and you talk about your brother every chance you get. You don't sail alone anymore. Even when you're out at sea, Sun bouncing off the waves and salt crusting your beard, there's a quiet presence next to you. Not like a ghost in the sales presence, more like a knowing, like someone who left their favorite hat on your head and whispered, "You got this, bro," before disappearing into the fog. People start treating you different, not because they believe your story, most don't, but because you believe it, and it changed how you walk through the world. No more hunched shoulders, no more mumbling, "We'll see," when your daughter asks about her dreams. You're suddenly the guy who lived through a storm and came back smiling. That carries weight in a town where even birthdays get canceled if the tide's too high. One afternoon, you take a walk up the cliff where you used to sit with your brother, back when both of you were too young to understand that anger ages the soul. You bring two beers, crack one, set the other on the rock beside you. "Missed you, man," you say. The wind doesn't answer, but a gull lands nearby and stares like it's judging your emotional maturity. Classic. You laugh. He'd say that's soft. But that's the point now, isn't it? Soft doesn't mean weak. Not anymore. The local newspaper runs a piece about you, calls it the Fisherman's Midnight Rescue, myth or miracle. They leave room for doubt. You appreciate that. Authors still debate whether emotional trauma can open our minds to alternate realities, or whether it just reshapes memory like wet clay. You don't care. What happened, happened. The towel was real. The light was real. And your brother? He's as real to you now as he ever was. Your daughter graduates top of her class. You hold her certificate like it's made of gold. When asked to speak at her ceremony, you keep it short. Storms come. Sometimes they don't pass. Sometimes you do. And when you do, love is what brings you home. Silence. Then applause. Then a long, awkward hug because dads are famously bad at emotion regulation in public. Back on the water, a storm brews one evening. You see the clouds, smell the shift. But this time, you turn back. No hesitation. You've learned the difference between bravery and recklessness. That's growth, baby. At night, when the house is quiet and your wife's snoring like a gentle bear, her words not yours, you sit outside and think about pride, about mistakes, about second chances that come wrapped in fog and familiar voices. You remember the rescue like it was yesterday. The way the sea calmed under your brother's boat. The way his eyes sparkled like he'd found peace in the storm. You wonder what he'd say now. Probably something more. Probably something true. And so here you are. A man who nearly drowned in his own stubbornness. Saved not by luck, but by letting go. By whispering forgiveness into the dark and meaning. People talk about turning points. This was yours. Not the storm itself. Not even the rescue. But the moment you decided to believe you were worth saving. That's what sticks. That's what carries. That's what you teach now to your kids, your neighbors, anyone who will listen over a cheap beer or a cup of fish stew. That storms are inevitable, but sinking, that's a choice. You choose to float. You choose to live. You choose to love, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. You're back on the porch. The night air carries the scent of salt and hibiscus. Waves hush against the shore, like the ocean's whispering apologies for last time. A fan turns softly behind you, lulling the room into a slower rhythm. Your daughter's laughter echoes faintly from inside, like a memory you're still allowed to make. You stretch your legs, sip something warm, and let the quiet wrap around you. The stars, bold now, blink like old friends, and in the hush you feel him again, your brother. Not as a ghost or guilt or dream, but as part of the peace you found. You smile, you made it. The storm passed, and whatever tomorrow brings, you'll be ready. Because tonight you rest easy. You are safe, you are seen, and you are loved.